Well, somebody brought me in a very old little pocket revolver made by Ivor Johnson. They made these guns from the late 1890s, I think all the way up into the mid 40s, actually. Rather interesting little gun. But as you saw from the pictures, it was in really, really crusty shape. A lot of rust and corrosion. And so we talked about just kind of conserving it to the point where at least it's not getting any worse. It's not going to be an everyday range gun or anything that you would want to use on a regular basis, but at least get most of the rust off and clean it up and preserve it. I mean, there's no use trying to, there was about, half the nickeling was there, and in some areas the nickeling's actually in pretty decent shape. In other places it was just gone. So using a little Scotch-Brite kind of pad, you can kind of get all the crustiness off of it and basically get it down to bare metal, which at least makes the whole thing look silverish. Not quite, the nickel obviously shows differently, but the grips are in great shape. The little owl head here is kind of a cool item. But they made these, there were three versions of these. It was a very short-lived version 1, which had a very light opening here to open the barrel. You basically lift this little lever and it will open up and the extractor will release things. The first version had a very light connection there and was made for black powder only. Probably they didn't make these for smokeless powder for some years, although this double latch system is what was used on the guns the rest of the way. So if this wasn't, approved for smokeless, it was at least anticipating the pressures of smokeless. So again, I wouldn't shoot this gun on a regular basis. Probably try to locate some black powder cartridges, but there are places that sell very lightly loaded shells that might work in this gun, but I definitely would probably not risk it in a gun this old. So this particular gun, based on the serial number, which is a 5-digit serial number without a letter in front of it, it probably indicates it was made in 1895. And most people will tell you that anything before 1900 should probably stick with a smokeless cartridge. So, but as I said, it was the beefed up connection here, the hammer, the trigger guard are all sort of beefed up steel. So at least I say they were anticipating going to smokeless. The one issue, I broke this gun down. There's lots of videos on how to break these down, so I didn't bother with that. But this little screw here that holds on the trigger guard is just a little messed up, and really, I soaked it in Kroil overnight for, just to see if I could get that thing loosened up before I get into this thing any further. But it definitely is stuck. I don't know if it's rusted or somebody just really messed up it doesn't look as bad, but it definitely won't come out. But anyway, so I didn't completely take it down. I took the rest of it out. Wasn't any really bad rust inside. I took out the hammer or the grips and looked into the spring here. Everything looked reasonable, and it also seems to be functioning. It locks in single action, and so it's doing everything it's supposed to do. So I'm just gonna leave that as it is and not risk messing something up by trying to drill out that tiny screw and making things worse. So, got the cylinders fairly cleaned out. The barrel is pretty clean. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of rifling left, but it definitely, it's possible, but at least it's not gonna get any worse than it was. Like I said, these are great little guns. These are one of the first guns that had You can see it right here. There's a transfer bar so that the hammer will only hit the firing pin if you have the trigger fully depressed. So that was a great feature back in those days. It also has a unique, especially by today's standards, the cylinder is free spinning when the trigger's not being pulled. So only when you pull the trigger, let's see, get this back out. The cylinder stop will pop up only when the hammer's back, and then it'll pop up and lock it into place. So, technically, I guess if you shot it once, put it back in your pocket, it could end up on any chamber, including the empty chamber, for the next round, which is kind of an odd situation, but it was actually very quick to, the way the ejector works and all that made these things a quick way to reload. It's fairly small gun in your hand, but it's actually a cool little gun. So anyway, I just wanted to go over status of this project. I'm probably gonna do a little bit more work on it and warn the guy that owns it that it's probably not going to be the wisest thing in the world to try to take out and shoot, but knowing him, he'll probably give it a chance. So, but anyway, it's a great little gun, great little collector's item at least. Very old, has a firing pin underneath that transfer bar. It comes out with a little spanner wrench there, and it actually cleaned up pretty nice. So considering where it came from, it's actually now in at least conserved condition, and will make a great collector's item, if not actually ready to shoot. So anyway, just a quick overview of the Iver Johnson safety automatic, it was called. It was a little bit ahead of its time with the transfer bar kind of mechanism, but now that's very common in a lot of revolvers, and it's a great little item. So anyway, stay safe and enjoy it. Take care. Bye-bye.